They mention Mae Jemison's time as an astronaut, and it says about how she was on Star Trek, but where's the section about her dance career? Oh, there it is. Oh, hello. I didn't see you there. My name is Mandy, and I work for the Ottawa Public Library. Today on our YouTube series, The Creators, we'll be making mobiles, or kinetic sculptures, and talking about the principles of center of gravity, tension, and compression, which are important things to know in engineering. So, let's rev up our brains, put on our science pants, and get ready to experiment. Here's what you'll need. Pair of scissors, a whole bunch of sticks and twigs, a rock or a pine cone, as long as it's something that has a bit of weight to it, and some yarn. So, some quick notes on our supplies. The twigs and sticks, please only use twigs and sticks that you find on the ground. Please do not break twigs and sticks off of trees. A good time to go out for a walk hunting for twigs and sticks is after a storm. But you're going to want to make sure that these are nice and dry before you start using them for our project. So maybe leave them to dry somewhere on your porch or something like that before you get started. For the yarn, I really like using multicolored yarn or kind of textured yarn. I think it makes for really interesting sticks, but you can use just plain colored yarn if you like. If you want to get like a multicolored effect and you only have the plain colored yarn, you could use more than one color and cut pieces and tie them together, and that way you would get a multicolored yarn. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to wrap our twigs in yarn. Now we need 3 kind of large ones that are roughly the same size to make the top of our mobile, which is going to be a triangle, and then as many sticks in as many different sizes as you like hanging underneath it. I'll show you some that I already did here. Let's just put our yarn over here for now. So, as you can see, I did a bunch of different, these are some of my favorite yarns, the ones that I had on the table. So for my triangle, I would probably use these 3. They're in 3 different types of yarn. And they're all roughly the same size, though they're just different enough to make it interesting. So, and then these are the ones that I would probably hang underneath. So to start our wrapping, I'm going to use this stick right here. And let's choose our yarn. I'll use this yarn right here. This is a pretty easy thing to do. Although it can be a little time consuming. So all you want to do, if you want, you can cut your yarn beforehand, cut a nice big long piece of yarn. But when I tried doing that, I found I was never good at figuring out exactly how long the yarn should be. So I just use it with the yarn attached to the ball. So it starts with tying a knot. So we just wrap the yarn around the stick like so, and we tie a knot, a double knot, which means you're going to tie it twice. There we go. Okay, so I've tied it twice. Now you can either trim off this bit, or you can just leave it there and then wrap the yarn around it. So now it's just a matter of wrapping it around. So I'm just wrapping the yarn around the stick like this. And I find if you hold the yarn and the stick in one hand and you turn the stick with the other hand, this is the easiest way to wrap the stick. And this is a really nice, kind of calming, mindful sort of activity to do. I like to listen to music or a podcast if I'm doing something like this. You don't have to think about it too much while you're doing it. It's a nice thing to do. If you are interested in finding out more about mobiles and artists that have done mobiles in the past, or kinetic sculpture, as it's called, you can always look up artists like Alexander Calder. He's the one that a lot of people know about. Or Man Ray was another one that did a lot of those. Also Marcel Duchamp. He's the one that actually coined the term mobile for these type of sculptures. And there's a Polish one, Katarzyna Kobro, who she did some really interesting work as well. So these are all great examples of sculptors that you can look up that also did mobiles. Okay, so as I'm getting to the end of this, I'll just mention that if you are not happy with how the yarn looks as you get near the end, you can double back and wrap it again. If you notice there's some gaps, you can just kind of push the yarn together like that, or you can cover the whole thing again if you want it to be a little thicker, a little more interesting looking. You can do that. Alrighty. So, and you can leave, as much of the stick sticking out as you would like. And so now I'm going to get my scissors right near the end there, and I'm going to cut it. I'm going to leave a few inches at the end so that we can tie our knot. Now, it's kind of just at the beginning, like at the beginning, you can just put it through the loop there, pull it tight, and then we can do that one more time. Wrap the yarn around, put it through the loop, and pull that tight. And when you feel like that's nice and tight, then that's going to stay. You can just cut off that bit. So there you go. You have your yarn wrap stick. And so you're going to make a whole bunch of these. You can use these for other projects too. They're so cool looking. You could get a whole bunch of them, and stick them in a vase as a centerpiece on a table. You could put them together and make like a wall hanging. You can put some yarn between them, maybe hang some pom-poms from them. There's all kinds of stuff you can do with these sticks. They're really cool. What we have to do next is assemble these into a triangle. So I'm just going to make some room here. I'm going to put my other sticks aside. And let's see here. We're going to figure out which ones. I think I'm going to change my mind and use some different ones, because this one is a lot bigger than the other ones. So I think maybe those three are going to be my triangle guys. Like that. There we go. So yours doesn't have to be as big as this. You can make a smaller triangle if you would like to. So now what we're going to do, I'm going to choose, I think I'll use this plain yarn again to do my tying, because it's just easier to work with than the textured yarn. And I'm going to cut a nice big piece of it here. And then pretty easy. We got our triangle here, and you're going to overlap the sticks in the triangle. Overlap them as much or as little as you like. Take our yarn and we're going to wrap it around the sticks and tie it in a knot. So put that one aside. We're wrapping this. So I'm going to tie a double knot. So I tie a double knot and then I'm going to wrap it around. Let's see if I can stand it up so you guys can see better. Yeah, I'm going to wrap it around a whole bunch of times. There, because we want it nice and secure. And then we're going to wrap it around the other way a couple times as well. And don't worry about it looking too neat and tidy. This is the kind of project that it looks cool if it's kind of messy. So then we're going to tie another double knot here to secure that. There we go. And maybe I'll flip it around and tie a knot here. There we go. Okay, so we got the first part done. Now we're going to take our third stick and tie it to the other two. So once again, we get a nice big piece of yarn. And tie it around. And now we will wrap and tie our third and final corner. Okay, so now we have our triangle. You can flip it around and decide the best way, the way that you like it best. I think I like it like that. So, the next thing we are going to do is arrange our sticks underneath, and we're going to hang them. And to do this, we need to use the two principles I talked about earlier: center of gravity and tension and compression. The thing that makes a mobile such a complicated work of art is the way that every piece has to be suspended from its center of gravity. Everything has a center of gravity. Every solid physical object, no matter how big or small. It's the point at which an object is perfectly in balance. If it's something like this ball, which has a simple shape that's the same on all sides, or symmetrical, then the center is the literal center, the middle. If it's something like this dowel, which is straight and has the same thickness from end to end, the center of gravity would be the middle as well. But when you have an object like this stick, where the shape is different all over, it's harder to tell where the center of gravity is. A good way to find out is to start from the middle and move in one direction or another until you find the place where it hangs evenly. You probably won't get it right the first time, but that's science for you. The other principles that we will be using to make this mobile work are tension and compression, two opposite principles of engineering. Tension is a force that pulls on an object. Compression is a force that pushes on an object. String and other materials like cable or cord are strong in tension, but not so good with compression. If you pull on a string, it gets tight and can carry things much heavier than itself. But if you compress it, it just folds up and doesn't really do anything. The mobile we're making uses string's ability to be strong under tension, its tensile strength, and that teams up with the centers of gravity of the sticks to make our mobile work. So, we know that string has high tensile strength, but low compressive strength. What about a material with opposite features? Concrete and stone are like this. Concrete can be incredibly strong when pushed against, but if a strong force were to pull on it, it would crumble apart. That's why when people make structures out of concrete, they put pieces of rigid metal inside. These pieces are called rebar, and they work as a framework for the concrete. While the concrete makes up for the low compressive strength of the rebar, the result is a structure that's stronger than either material could ever be by themselves. Sorry, I got distracted by engineering. Now, back to our mobile. All right, now that we have a handle on center of gravity and tension and compression, let's finish assembling our mobile. So we've got our triangle, and let's figure out how we want our sticks to go. Now, I kind of like to do them we'll put the biggest one at the top, and then we'll go down smaller, but you can arrange them however you like. All right, and then of course, we've got our rocks. Let's see, which rock do I want to use? I think I want to use this white sparkly one. And we'll have that so we can see how it's going to look. So first, we'll get our yarn that we're going to use to make this. And we'll cut a piece that is about 6 inches or half a foot longer. Or you can do even longer too. Like if you want to really make sure you have enough yarn, then you want your mobile to be. So I'm going to cut it, about there. Get our scissors. And there we go. Okay. So we'll tie this end to the bottom of our triangle. Nice tight knot. Go. Double knot. And try to make it roughly in the center. And you can trim off this extra bit right there. Okay. Then we've got our first stick. So I'm going to tie it. This is a tricky one because this is a weird stick. So I'm going to tie it, loop it around roughly where I think the center of gravity is going to be. I'm just going to tie a single knot for now so that it'll be easy to adjust. So I got a single knot there and hold this up. And the important thing here, we're going to use right tension. So we're going to pull it. Oh, that's a little too far away from the triangle as well. And that is definitely not in the middle. So I need to make some adjustments. So let's move it up the string a bit because I don't want it hanging quite that far down. And we're going to move the string over a little bit to adjust it. There we go. So we got number 1 done. So now, since it's in the place I want it to be, I'm going to tie another, make it a double knot so that I know it's going to stay right. Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing with all of our other sticks. It takes a bit of work to get everything in balance, but eventually you'll get there. I'm going to work on this later. But our last step is adding our weight to the bottom. So you can use a rock, you could use a pine cone, like a kind of a heavier pine cone. You could use a seashell, anything you like as long as it has a bit of weight to it that will hold that tension in the rest of your mobile. So I'm going to wrap my yarn around the rock, and it's a good thing I cut a long piece of yarn because I think I have just enough here. And I'm going to kind of wrap it like you would wrap a present. I'm going to put it around so you can see I've wrapped it around like that. And then I'll tie a knot. You can also, if you have an adult nearby to help you that has a hot glue gun, you can use your hot glue gun to put a dab of glue on the rock and attach the yarn if you're having trouble getting it to stay on your rock or seashell or whatever it is. You can also do that with the sticks. You can put a dab, but I found that I don't really need to do that with the sticks. I find that the yarn stays just fine on its own. All right, and then our last step, we're going to put some yarn around the top so that we can hang our mobile. You can hang this up in your room. You could hang it on your porch. You can hang it on your balcony. You can hang it in a tree. It might be a nice thing for birds to sit on. You can hang it wherever you like. All right. So here we have the finished mobile. It's a little big. I need to work on figuring out the center of gravity on some of these sticks. It takes some experimenting, but that's what this is all about, isn't it? We are here to experiment. There is our mobile. Wow, that was a double dose of science and engineering with a bit of art thrown in. I hope you enjoyed making your mobiles and learning about center of gravity, tension, and compression. Tune in next week for a fantastic French creators video, and I hope that you've enjoyed this series. Until next time, build strong and keep experimenting.